Yo YouTube, this is my video for Thursday the 17th of July, and this will be my last day working this week. And for those of you that are observant fellows, you'll see that this is the same roundabout that I often do my start videos at. And so I'm either on my way to Peterborough or Wisbech, from historically speaking. It turns out today I have got a job. It is now just gone 9:30, and I'm going to Peterborough to pick up a long wheelbase van job going to Bicester. It's 75 loaded miles, and I'm just about 17 miles away from the 16 miles away from the pickup. And I've got £90 for it, 90. I got it reasonably quickly. I was quite surprised that I got it at that price, because it's a fair price basically. The only thing that I'm going to assume, because there's a lot of drivers in Peterborough, is that this is with a shipper that does know me reasonably well. I haven't done loads of work for them, but they would recognise my name of a bid. So I think I'm implying that this means they're going by reputation more than price on their work, which is good to know. Bicester is a bit of a dodgy area for me. I basically looked at the map quickly and thought Bicester's probably not that far away from sort of Northampton, Milton Keynes, so I'll aim to get back to there. Maybe even Daventry might be a good place to go to. It's not as far as Reading and Swindon, which I don't like going to, but I think it's a bit of a risk going to that area of the country because it's a bit out of the where the jobs are, particularly when the CX is quite so poor with work at the moment, as in the amount of work available. So it's a bit of a risk, but I was glad to be on the road reasonably early, I mean for me, and have a fair price job. I'll just have to see how today goes. I've got no idea what to expect. It's a Thursday, so it's not going to be not going to have the Friday jobs available. I suspect I'll have another frustrating day, is my guess, and I'll end up trudging home too hot and tired after another attempt to get some work done. I'm sort of holding out for the hope that next week I can get a full week of work in and it'll be better. This week was always going to be difficult with the amount of time that I had to have off. I only ever had 2 days available this week in the end, so it's turned out to be a bit of a damp squib of a week, but today let's see how it goes. Right, I'll let you know. Cheers. Hi there, so it's now nearly 10:10 and I've picked up my load from Peterborough, and it happened to be a place that I used to get to a reasonable number of times. I used to do it sort of 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and the atmosphere this morning when I got there at sort of 10 was a lot nicer, I would say. They were a lot more pleasant to me than usual. Oh dear. So anyway, I got loaded up really easily, really nice experience for me. It's three standard pallets, as in that's the surface area, but they're not very high. They're only about 10 inches, maybe less than that high, each of them. So it looks a bit weird in my van having such small, in inverted commas, pallets. So I'm on my way. I'll be finished this job in Bicester at around about 12 o'clock. Hi there, just a quick thought explosion that I've got for you as I've been driving along. Basically, I'm really enjoying today, just getting out of the house and driving, and I realised, something I've known for a long time, but I thought I'd express it. Even the worst days of being a self-employed same-day courier are better than most days I experienced working for somebody else. So the lowest points of this job, there's two things that make a difference. First of all, once they're over, they're over. There's no ongoing sort of office politics or hurt feelings. You just deal with the problem and then you move on. Next day it's all over with. And the second thing is, there's not a lot that goes wrong, to be honest. I don't know how I come across in my videos, but at the moment it's quite tough to earn a living, and I am quite feeling unwell. So I might mention that in my sort of what I'm doing. But being too hot or too tired, they're internal things that are coming from me. The actual job doesn't cause me much stress at all. There's the odd, traffic jam, which might be frustrating, or there's, a shipper might mess you about a bit, or a customer might wait for a customer. But they're all really minor issues that, in the whole scheme of things, they're nothing compared to some of the problems I've had to sort of encounter in my working life. If you've experienced a modern working environment in any kind of context where you're working in a hierarchy, then I think once you do this job, you realise how relaxing it is in comparison. And I'm not one for sort of dwelling on and appreciating nature. I do appreciate it. I do look around me, but I don't get a lot of sort of positivity from that. I just feel it's nice. I do focus a lot on the money side of this job, but that's because that's about me. I want to be more successful with earning more money. I want to be more comfortable at home with what I'm earning. But I'm earning enough. I'm getting by. I shouldn't really worry about it as much, but I know that's part of who I am. And so if you feel that, if I'm not come across as someone who really loves this job, then I probably want to correct that. It's just such a lovely job to do, and basically the worst days are not that bad, and they're over with once you get home. My worst day doing this job was when I wasn't even on the job. I'd finished a job. I was on my way up to Manchester to see my daughter, and my van broke down near Uttoxeter. And I was so frustrated because my recovery people wouldn't cover it, and also I was going to let my daughter down. That was the worst day I've had, and that wasn't even while I was working, it was just after I'd finished working. So the actual worst day I experienced in my van doing a job was way back in my first few months, when I had that issue where I hadn't strapped down the leaflets properly and they came off the pallet, and I had to really kind of eat humble pie and just sort it out as best I could, and get told off by various people. But the next day it was over with. And even, to be fair, even by the end of that experience, the shipper said to me, if you live closer to where I work, I'll give you a job again. So even at the end of the actual incident, it wasn't even that bad. So think of, if you're not doing same-day courier work and you're doing a job which is something else, can you genuinely say the same thing, that your worst days are not that bad? And I definitely think in this job that's what is really appealing for me, and a lot of other people as well. The worst days you get in this are just not that bad, and they're over with the following day. So however you feel that I'm coping, or however it makes you feel about what I'm doing, just be mindful that I'm really enjoying myself. I'm really loving this job. Like anything worth doing, sometimes it doesn't go well. Sometimes it requires a bit of resilience, a bit of hard work, but none of this is difficult compared to stuff I've had to do in the past. And I think there'll be a lot of you who have some life experience who completely get what I'm talking about. Right, let me get on with this job, and I hope that today will be a good day. Happy days! I have got my second job, which is a bit of a rarity nowadays. It's 10 past 12. I had offloaded at my first stop at just gone 12 o'clock. I then had a look at the feed, CX feed, and at 3 minutes past 12 there was a job going from Kidlington to Cambridge, and I saw this at 4 minutes past 12. So I just quickly put a bid on that. It's a small van job going 100 miles. I put £95 on. And then I was carrying on looking at the rest of the jobs coming down. Put a bid on a couple of other jobs, and just checked how far away Kidlington was before I put the bid on. And 5 minutes later, I got a call. I was offered the best job I bid on, which was this one I just said. So I'm getting £95 for a small van job. I'm actually 25 minutes away from the pickup, and it is, just looking at my Google Maps, 11 miles away. So this hasn't happened for a while. Stop, drop off, within 10 minutes get a second job. So I'm going to revel in the positivity of this and get on with my day. So that means I'm on now £185 for the day. So I just need to get some sort of little job from Cambridge, and then I can finish early. To be fair, I'm feeling okay today, tiredness wise, so I might try and do a cheeky Manchester job from Cambridge and make today an amazing day. We shall see what happens when I get there, and I will, as always, let you know with glee and excitement. Oh right, okay, so I've delivered my second delivery. I did that about 20 minutes ago, maybe half an hour ago, and I'm now going to start heading towards home. It's now about 3:45, and it's an hour and a half for me to get home. It's about 70 miles. And I am really quite tired. So although I am looking at jobs, I'm just really tired. I've got some stats for today, so we'll assume that I don't find anything on the way back. And so very quickly for today, if I go straight home now, I will have worked for 8.25 hours. I would have driven a total today of 279 miles, 279. I've earned £185 gross from 2 CX jobs. I've spent £41.46 on fuel, assuming an average fuel price of 14.86 pence per mile. And so that means I've earned net of fuel today 144. Yesterday I earned net of fuel £53. So between the 2 days, effectively this week, my net earnings for this week is £197. I shall go towards my fixed business costs. So that's that. Hopefully next week it will be better than this week. Hopefully I get some better sleep, and I'll let you know how it all goes. So thank you very much for listening to our video. I hope that you are all being successful, however you choose to find that word for yourselves. And I'll see you on Monday. Farewell, friends.